This is Stephen A with Sports Choice Plus. I'm coming to you live on the YouTube channel. I'm going to be discussing the playoff picture. Now that we're pretty much more than halfway through the NFL season, the picture becomes more clear. The picture becomes more apparently clear of the teams that are going to be winning the divisions. And I'm giving you my predictions of who I think at this point or who are going to ride it out and make sure that they get to that division championship that they're looking for. We're going to start in the AFC. To start out, I thought that this was going to be one of those divisions where it had multiple teams that potentially could essentially threaten for the title. But it looked like Miami fell off. It also looked like the Jets have fallen off. And the Buffalo Bills are the last one standing in the AFC East. It's highly competitive, but at the same time, the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen making trades to get Amari Cooper, making the process necessary to where now the offense is looking a little bit bigger. I think the biggest threat to them is going to be the Jets down the stretch, but I think that Josh Allen and the company have enough cushion at 7-2 that they're going to be able to finish out the season no matter how the ball bounces for them in order for them to win the division. Not only are they without Stephon Diggs, which they've been pleasantly surprised great, but at the same time, they are making moves. Defensively, you've seen them clamp down in a couple of games. You want to see those kind of things happen when you have a team that's potentially going for a Super Bowl. Coming in number 2, the AFC North champs. This was a little difficult starting out because they had a little bit of rough patch to start the season, but I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens not only have shown me that they can throw the ball, but they can run the ball. No matter who they play against, they seemingly have the advantage. Derrick Henry is showing you that he has a lot more tread left on the tires. Lamar Jackson is showing you that he can throw the ball for over 300 yards a game. Perfect passer ratings in a couple of games. They're moving the ball all over the field. Doesn't matter if they're going to Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews. Doesn't matter if they're going to Derrick Henry. They have weapons all over the place. The thing that they have to worry about is the defense. The defense has regressed a little bit, whether it be due to injuries, whether it be due to play calling, whether it be to them losing their best defensive coordinator. You gotta look at this team as having a lot of potential to win a Super Bowl. They're going to have to stay healthy, though, for this to matter, for this to work out for them. The Pittsburgh Steelers are tough, don't get me wrong, but I do feel like there's a championship pedigree in Baltimore that they know exactly what they want to do. Even though they haven't won a Super Bowl lately, I do think that, Lamar Jackson and them are poised at 6-3 to really carry out the rest of the season and win a Super Bowl. Russell Wilson is good. Don't get me wrong. But there's a lot left desired on that offense, no matter if it's Justin Fields playing or if it's Russell. And yes, it's going to take time for Russ to get to his full potential. He's just really starting the season the last couple of weeks due to injury. So, but I like this. I like the Steelers' overall defense, but the offense is what really gets it done in the NFL playoffs. So I'm picking the Baltimore Ravens in that one. Looking at the AFC South champs, I know it's a little murky right now because they're playing a little sluggish and they have a lot of injuries all over the offense. But the AFC champs I'm predicting is going to be the Houston Texans. Even though C.J. Stroud and company are having a sluggish little lull at the moment, they've had a couple of big wins, but they've also had a couple of big losses. And you got to think, their record against teams with a winning record is not really what you're looking at, but you're looking at the way that they struggle against teams that aren't really good right now. When you're looking at them having to go for the rest of their schedule, they have a lot of different matchups that potentially could slip them up. Because of the injury factor, C.J. Stroud won't have a full complement of receivers and a complement of running backs, but you're going to have to do what you're going to have to do. That offensive line has been getting him hurt, hit, and beaten, so he's going to have to figure out something with DeMeco Ryans, and they're going to have to solidify their offensive line because they have too valuable of a team right now to let him get hurt. But I think overall, they're going to get together at some point. It just has to be quickly. And I think that with the model that they have right now with offense and defense, their accountability, and, with matchups like when they got to face the Lions, they got to face the Chiefs, they got to face the Ravens, that potentially could hurt their lead long term because you have the Colts in division. The Colts could wake up at some point. But as of right now, I have the Houston Texans winning that division. Joe Flacco came out flat last week, so I don't know if it was just the team they were playing, the energy they were giving, but coming flat against the Minnesota Vikings, where you knew they have Justin Jefferson, they got so many different weapons. You need to come out bigger than that. And I think Joe Flacco was a victim of playing, a little sluggish, but I like the Houston Texans and the AFC South to win that division. Of course, the Chiefs, we don't even have to waste time on this. They're undefeated. They're 8-0. I don't think the Chargers, Raiders, or Broncos are catching them in any way, shape, or form. Patrick Mahomes is Pat Mahomes. He's playing injured. He's playing. They're running the ball well with Kareem Hunt. Travis Kelce is picking up the slack from the injured players. It's a number of people that are doing their thing on this team. When you're thinking about overall, everything that this team has done, they've done it defensively. They've done it special teams. They've done it offensively. And that's why they're one of the best teams. And I feel like this is going to be their year again because essentially they're getting it done. They were aggressive in free agency, adding pass rushers, adding receiver, adding different things, and you can see why they're where they are right now. And that's all for the AFC. I'm going to kick it over to the NFC. This is tough because the Washington Commanders are essentially playing well. The Washington Commanders have one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, even though he's a rookie with Jaden Daniels. But their overall defense is why I'm not really confident in them. Yes, they are 7-2. But at the same time, the Eagles are 6-2. The Philadelphia Eagles play them still. So you got to think the head-to-head matchup is going to be crucial. Jalen Hurts is going to have to play up above his head to keep up with Jaden Daniels. But I think the X factor is going to be Saquon. Them having Saquon Barkley allows them to get victories that I didn't think they were going to be able to get. His play, the energy he brings. If you just look at the spin move and the backwards hurdle, butt first hurdle, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's just the way he plays. A.J. Brown, Devontae, as receivers, are playing well. When they're getting the ball, when they're getting the passes with those one-on-one routes, they are actually delivering. They are playing well. So I think that, a lot has to be thought into that. I think down the stretch, they're veterans. They've been here, done it, know it, got a T-shirt for it. And I think Dan Quinn is going to have to teach his guys how to win. Sometimes you have to lose in order to win. And I think that's the Commanders right now. Even though they're having a pretty good season, even though it's a resurgence in Washington, I think that they're not ready yet for the prime time. I think it's going to take a little bit more time for them to develop and grow. But I like their team overall. I like Jaden Daniels. I like the offense is actually terrific. From the standpoint, they're just injuries all over the place for them. But Dan Quinn, once he gets a couple of dogs on the defensive side, that Washington team is going to be a very scary sight to see because they have holes along the defense. NFC North. NFC North is turning into a runaway. The Minnesota Vikings at one point I thought were going to be the runaway favorite here. But as of late, the last 2 or 3 weeks, the Detroit Lions have turned it up. Scoring 50 points, scoring 40 points, scoring 30 points. They are on a road, and they're playing through quality teams. It doesn't matter if you're a good team, bad team. They're going to buffer you at least 16 points. And the crazy thing is, you have to play at their pace to slow them down. You have to really come in at a different way where you have to play above your head. And I'm talking about your receivers have to be elite. Your running back has to play above his potential. Your blockers, they're coming from everywhere. No matter if it's tight end position with Laporta, Amon St. Brown, a wide receiver. It's a number of things that they're doing. And Jared Goff, doesn't matter if he throws for 100 yards or 300 yards. They're scoring everywhere. Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, they're doing whatever they want to do, running the football or throwing the football. Dan Campbell has really instilled a physical nature into this, and you got to think, they're doing all this without Jameson Williams. He's not really playing right now because he's suspended. So you got to think, they're going to become even more scarier when he comes back because that's another weapon that they have. So mind you, he's serving 2 games or 3 games, a suspension, and they're going to be an elite ball club when he comes back. It's just going to be scary to think that right now this team isn't playing at its full potential, and they're still beating the hell out of everybody in their division and outside too. So I got them unanimously winning the NFC North. The NFC South is going to be the Falcons. I think that losing Mike Evans, losing Godwin, I think that hurts the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I like them to start the season, but it's just too many injuries for Baker Mayfield and company to overcome. Yes, the defense for the Bucs is very good, solid, has a lot of good playmakers all over the place, but sometimes you can't make up for the loss of offense with defense because it's just too much. The offenses in the NFL are just too good. The way that they're scoring points, you got to look at the way that they played against Kansas City. They scored points. They put points up on the board, but then at a certain point, the offense just got stagnant and stale. When they made adjustments at halftime, that slowed down the Buccaneers' offense in the second half, and they were not able to do what they wanted to do. That was something that you have to keep in mind. When you have an offensive team or a quarterback, you have to be able to keep the pedal to the metal because a lot of these teams can still score. You see how Patrick Mahomes and company, they got the defense solid, they got the defense settled, and then they started to step up and make plays. They started to get turnovers. They started to make plays, and then boom, 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 all of a sudden, it's a turnover on downs with a punt, and all of a sudden they're up, they're ahead, and now it's overtime. They get the ball, they take the ball down there, throw a couple of throws, and Kareem Hunt punches it in. That's why you have to make sure you're on top of your game offensively and defensively because every team in the NFL can score. Every team in the NFL has those guys that were the guys in college and high school. So you got to just be prepared. The Atlanta Falcons, in this case, they have an offense that's very productive. Their defense is what scares me because their defense does not get pressure in sacks. They rank towards the bottom of the NFL in sacks and also in defensive pressures. That's one of those things where Matt Judon has to think to himself, what do I have to change to get more pressure on the quarterback? Or the other guys that are playing opposite of Matt Judon okay, what can I do when I'm getting these single coverages when I'm pass rushing versus Matt Judon getting double teamed? You know, Grady Jarrett is coming back from an Achilles injury, and now he's dealing with another injury to his leg. So you got to think, you're going to have to figure out a way to get the Atlanta Falcons defense to get fired up and to actually get quarterback pressures and sacks. Sometimes when you get quarterback pressure, it doesn't involve any interceptions or a fumble, but it gets the quarterback to throw the ball. Now it's an incomplete pass. Or now you're throwing it to the wrong place. Or now it's thrown in an area where your teammates have an opportunity to make a catch or either a deflection. And that's what you want to see from the Atlanta Falcons. If you can't get there, you want to actually be a part of it. The deflection process or a fumble or a pick six, you want to do that. So I think the Atlanta Falcons are going to run away with the NFC at this point. In the last division, the NFC West. This is very difficult because Seattle at one point was looking good. The Rams at one point were looking good. And now the 49ers are looking good. The 49ers are getting Christian McCaffrey back. If he can play at least 75% of who he is as a player, the San Francisco 49ers are going to run off with this division. When you think about just him being on the field, even if he's just a decoy, even if they use him multiple times as a decoy, you still have to plan for that. You still have to prep for that. I know that they're tied 4-4 with the Rams right now at first in that division, but you got to think, they haven't played their best football. They haven't really had a lot of healthy players on the field. You've seen Deebo Samuel in and out the lineup. They don't really have Ayuk. He's out for the season. So it's a number of things that they've had where you're mixing and matching. But as those young guys are starting to get reps for the 49ers, you're going to see a lot more good things come from them. So I think that overall, the 49ers, they're getting healthy. They do this thing where they get hurt, everybody gets hurt, and they come back all at one time like Avengers. In the grand scheme of things, they have the full potential from the coaching staff, from the offense to the defense. They have a number of guys that are essentially great players. They're paying premiums for these guys at the tight end position, left tackle position, receiver position. And the only person that's not getting paid right now is Brock Purdy. So therefore, they have to punch this ticket in. This is the last year where they're going to have a lot of this cap space. So you got to think, they've made a couple of moves. They've done what they need to do in the offseason. Now it's just a question of them actually delivering, and Kyle Shanahan knows this. So this is going to be a big end of the year for them. But these are my division winners. These are the guys, these are the teams that I think they're going to win the division. You can definitely chime in on Sports Choice Plus and tell me what you think about this. And I'll be back with another live video in a couple minutes, but we're going to really focus in on some of the key factors that we have for this NFL season. So I hope you enjoyed the live stream, and I'll